Hello and welcome back to FRAG-MENTAL. Thanks for joining me. In this video I'm taking a look at Evolution de l'Homme Matin, which is a brand new release from Parfums Vintage. Stay tuned to FM. So, two brand new releases from Parfums Vintage. We have Evolution de l'Homme Matin and Evolution de l'Homme Soir. So this one refers to morning, this one refers to evening. These are both two different takes on the DNA of Roja Parfums Elysium. So I'll be making comparisons to Elysium in the video. I'll be talking a little bit about Soir, but the main bulk of this review is going to be on Matin. This was sent to me by Parfums Vintage, but of course, all opinions are my own. So, let's start off by taking a look at the notes. So, pretty complex set of notes for this. I'll reel through them pretty quickly. In the top, we've got pink pepper, juniper berries, grapefruit, lemon, bergamot, lime, thyme and artemisia. In the mid, jasmine, blackcurrant, apple, rose cypriol, cedar and patchouli. In the base, birch, musk, vanilla and ambergris. It opens with lovely, smooth, bright citruses. There's grapefruit, bergamot, lemon and lime. Not one of those citrus notes seems to be more dominant than the others. They all seem to be really well balanced, really smoothly blended. It's a really beautiful citrus opening. As the citruses settle a little bit, the mid reveals itself and we've got this lovely fruity accord of crisp apple and juicy blackcurrant. There's also some florals in the mid, the jasmine and the rose. They are there, but to me they're just a little bit more in the background. Underneath all this, there's some birch and some cedar giving us a lovely woody depth in the base, and we've also got musks and vanilla sweetening things up. I mentioned those citruses settle, but they don't ever disappear. In fact, this scent becomes a lovely overall balance of all its notes. It's a beautiful, sweet, citrusy scent if that's your kind of thing. Bit of a Ventus in there, bit of Bleu de Chanel. The other great thing about this is the strength of it and its performance. A lot of citrus scents can be quite fleeting, but this does perform really well. I get a good 2 to 3 hours of projection and then it's a skin scent, fairly detectable skin scent for up to about 10 hours. So really strong performance off this one. It's also very versatile. I think it can be worn by any sex, it can be worn any season and for any occasion. I would say that probably it could get lost a little in really cold weather, but other than that, I think it's pretty versatile across all different temperatures. Right, time to make some of those comparisons to Elysium. I have a decant of Elysium. I'm quite familiar with the scent. I've had this for around a year now. This is the Eau de Parfum concentration, not the Parfum concentration, by the way. So I've had Elysium sprayed on this hand and Matin sprayed on this hand, and I've been doing this a few times over a few days. So I've got a good understanding now of the differences between the two fragrances. So let's get into that. Now with Elysium, I get a little bit more depth, a bit more of a resinous nature to it perhaps, whether that's the cedar or another note, I'm not sure, but it does seem to have a bit more depth in the opening compared to Matin. Less of the citruses though, not quite as bright and smooth with its citruses. As well as this added depth, it almost has this aldehydic airiness about it, and it really just sings off my skin beautifully. There's an extra bit of a zing with Elysium that you don't get with Matin. So comparing those two openings, I find the opening of Elysium is more to my liking. I find it's more interesting and has a bit more character to it. As it dries down, Elysium seems to lose its citruses fairly quickly around the hour mark for me and becomes more of this woodsy vanilla dry down, and it's a relatively faint skin scent, so I don't actually get great performance from Elysium. I mean, you can reapply and you can get those top notes again, which is always worth doing because the top of Elysium is really beautiful. This does retain its citruses, as I've already mentioned, and it lasts a lot longer on skin, projects a lot longer, so it is much better in its performance, but it does lack that depth that Elysium has, particularly in its opening. So in short, I prefer the opening of Elysium and the dry down of Matin. Let's talk a little bit about Soir as well. Now to me, this isn't as smooth in its opening. It's got a rougher opening. It's got almost a dirty grapefruit, seems to be the most prominent note for me. I still quite like it, but it's not as bright and not as smooth and as classy as the opening of Matin. I'd say out of the two fragrances, Soir is closer to the DNA of the original Elysium. It doesn't quite have the depth that Elysium has, but it does have a similar performance. So this lasted similar amount of time for me as Elysium. So neither of them perfectly match Elysium in my opinion, but they are both really nice scents and in the air pretty similar. As a scent in its own right, I enjoy this one equally as much as I enjoy Elysium. They both have their own different strengths and weaknesses. If you were thinking of buying this and you were hoping for an exact copy of Elysium or close to it, then you might be disappointed. But if you were thinking of buying this and you're happy having something that smells similar to Elysium but has better performance, then I don't think you'll be disappointed. At the end of the day, all three of these fragrances are really nice. They're refined, classy, gentlemanly, sophisticated. If you're thinking of buying any, then weigh up the pros and cons that I've talked about, and if you can, do grab some samples first. I would always recommend getting samples rather than just blind buying. So ultimately, the decision is down to you. Okay, that's all I have to say. If you have any questions that I've not given the answer to in this video, then just ask me in the comments down below. Also, if you've tried any of these fragrances, let me know what your opinion is. Does it differ from mine or does it align with mine? I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, everybody, and until next time, keep tuning into FM and keep smelling good.